how to raise a sharper and brighter child, all about your baby's brain development. In this session, we will be covering frequently asked questions about the brain development of babies and toddlers. These have been picked up from the questions that you posted on First Cry Parenting's Q&A section. So the first question we have here is, what are the important behavioral milestones for a 2-year-old? Now the behavioral milestones that I'll be talking about in this section are approximate levels. It's not necessary that every child reaches all the milestones that have been mentioned here. So don't be alarmed if your baby has not yet reached all of the things that we are talking about. However, if you see a very definite developmental lack, then you can consult a pediatrician or a psychologist. Well, so by the age of 2 years, your baby, who is now proficient in walking, begins to run, jump or climb. Also, his hold on smaller objects becomes better. That is, instead of grasping big objects like a really big ball, they become better at grasping a small ball. A baby who would not look for an object that was hidden will now begin to look for it. Now, this is a very important milestone because it shows that the child has understood that even if an object is not seen, it still exists. Vocabulary wise, your baby should know as many as 200 words. Usually they will start making 2-word sentences such as Papa garden. Another frequently asked question is, how can I build language skills in my child? Every child is a very eager learner. From a very young age, as much as 3 months, the children usually start making pleasant cooing sounds. These are vowel sounds. Babies will usually start making some consonant sounds by the age of 7 months, which we call as babbling. And the first meaningful word usually appears around the age of 1 year. Throughout this time, parents can be very responsive to the conversation of the child. And this helps to build that enthusiasm in the child about conversation. For example, if a baby is looking at a cat licking its kitten and the parent pauses and then responds and comments about how the cat is licking its kitten, children will greatly enjoy this conversation. They have already learnt that in human conversation it is important to take turns.
Hope this content is helpful for you till now. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more such parenting-related videos. Please continue watching.
What activities can help my baby's brain development? Play is your child's natural way of gaining experience in this world. At a very young age, games like peekaboo are very interesting. As children start growing older, make-believe play emerges. Children can be very creative and very imaginative in make-believe play. To have an adult who can participate very sensitively in this world of imagination of the child can help the child's brain development greatly. Make-believe play also grows from simple to more complex. For example, a 2-year-old might pretend to take a toy telephone, hold it to his ear and pretend as though he is talking. While a 3-year-old child might hold the same phone to a doll's ear and pretend that the doll is talking. Make-believe play becomes more and more impersonal as children grow older. At the age of 4 years approximately, a child, for example, might build a spaceship with the help of plastic blocks and imagine that it is sending pictures back to the earth. It's important that the adult allows the child self-direction, not maneuvering the play in the direction the adult wants, but really allowing the child to play according to the way he wants. Children can be extremely creative in their play. It also helps the child to develop his vocabulary, cooperation, creativity and knowledge. If an adult can participate in the play very fully and also encourage make-believe play, you will see that the child's play becomes more and more involved and the themes become more and more complex. This can greatly enhance the child's brain development. Always remember, however, that your baby is always going to be the hero in such a play. It is very important for the adult to respect the child's need for omnipotence. Another very important question is, how do I develop a very strong bond with my child? Imagine a baby who is perched in her mother's lap. It is quite understandable that the baby is going to crawl out of the mother's lap and explore her surroundings a little bit, all the while mindful of her mother who is sitting there. She is all the time aware that her mother is looking at her. Infants always use the parent as a safe space from which they go out and explore this world. Parents who foster this secure attachment with their baby are parents who will stay attuned to this exploration. They will never stop the baby from exploring. At the same time, the mother is not going to go away from the room while the child is crawling away from her. She is not going to stop her from crawling away from her either. This helps to develop a tremendously secure bond with the baby. Parents and children often involve in something called as interactional synchrony. What is interactional synchrony? It's a pattern of matching responses, especially the positive ones. Usually mothers who are very well attuned to their children will match these positive states, like for example, when the baby smiles, mama also smiles. When the baby shows a puzzled look on her face, mama also shows a puzzled look on her face. The last question in this session, but not the least important, is how do I control my toddler's temper tantrum? Most parents extremely dread this phase called the terrible twos, because it is at this time that the children's tantrums increase tremendously. It is very important to understand why temper tantrums happen. First of all, saying no is your child's way of asserting his identity. So by complying to the child's wishes once in a while, the tension can be kept to a minimum. However, if temper tantrums happen every day or many times during the week, it can be terribly frustrating. At this point, it is necessary to see in what conditions or what are the factors that actually start and maintain the tantrum. For example, if you notice that every day after coming home from play school, the child finds that his mother is already busy attending to guests, his temper tantrum begins. If you make such observations, you can avoid those conditions that lead to the temper tantrum, and that's how keep those tantrums to a minimum. However, once a tantrum has begun, it is very unhelpful to become strict or to get angry with the child. What is best is to stay close to the child and really validate or acknowledge that whatever has happened is indeed upsetting or frustrating. When the child feels fully understood and validated, it is very likely that all the tension is relieved and the child's temper tantrum begins to subside. Well, that's it for today. If you have any more questions, you can head to First Cry Parenting's Q&A section, where doctors and experts are available 24/7 to answer your queries. Thank you.